Movie theaters have become ingrained in our lives as an escape from the drudgery of everyday life. We always assume that we can find one anywhere, and it feels bizarre when there isn't one in a neighborhood. The theater-going experience is part of the magic that brings people in, even if it's just that one time a year. Today's climate supports large multiplex theaters with many screens and the latest blockbuster superhero movies. It reflects the Hollywood system in distribution. A small number own the theaters, distributing films from the big studios. This creates a narrow stream of entertainment and experience you get at the theater. Challenging this are art house cinemas. Often independently owned, an art house has a smaller set of screening theaters and focuses on a more curative and avant-garde cinema. Although entirely up to the owners and managers, independent theaters are where you can find lower budget or international pictures. While supporting a wide demographic, it mainly caters to an educated early adult audience. While big theaters are the norm, art houses have become increasingly popular. There will always be a need for both, but it's important to note the advantages that independently run theaters have. Art houses are welcoming spaces that can help the economy and community, while providing value to people's lives.
And stories feel perfect and powerful. Because here, they are.
Humans have always convened to tell and show stories. Ancient societies and modern civilizations have created public spaces for consuming stories. Movie theaters have been around since the late 19th century. Nickelodeons, short films, and vaudeville shows were highly attended in cities around the world. As camera technology developed, so did the means for a place to showcase it. Theaters sprung up across the United States in the 20th century. Large theater auditoriums with 2,000 people were common, as well as drive-ins developed as a gimmick attraction along Route 66. The medium was popularized, causing an influx of cinema in the United States. The economic status of theaters has gone up and down since the advent because of unforeseen forces. Radio and television were both causes for a plummet in ticket sales. However, the industry always found ways to combat forces with new inventions of their own, like CinemaScope and 3D. Theaters have taken a heavy toll through the decades as new technologies have made theaters less vital to movie viewership. Videotapes and DVDs used to be a driving force to help fund movies. Now streaming services have made theaters all but obsolete. During the pandemic, it showed how important streaming was to the public. More people watched content in the convenience of their home instead of going to a theater for a shared experience.
The picture is really, really stark. I mean, to sort of underline the numbers that are behind this.
The environment for showcasing films dramatically changed when the pandemic hit. Ticket sales dropped and hundreds of theaters shut down. Studios were forced to simultaneously release films to streaming services while still playing in theaters. Although numbers haven't returned to pre-COVID yet, things are returning to normal slowly. The way theaters work is rarely based on the films they show at all. Big chains always negotiate the best deals compared to independent theaters. Anywhere from 25% to 35% of what is made comes from ticket sales. It is common that after the 2-week mark, the ratios change. They can be 50-50, which is why going a few weeks after opening helps the theater. The rest of the theater's revenue, both chain and independent, comes from concessions. For independents, it's close to 80%, and for chains, it's near 60%. As of now, the theater chains negotiate the best deals with studios to make the most profit. For a larger profit, they need movies in the theaters that can play for many weeks and continuously bring an audience in. These are generally the blockbuster or franchise films that have a large appeal, meaning that small or independent films rarely get exposure at a large level. Independently owned art house cinemas hold a steady attendance. They are often catered to younger generations who are curious about the cinematic world. Patrons find these cinemas important in their lives.
There is so much that would be lost without independent theaters.
The content in art house cinemas is unique compared to theater chains. The curative experience allows a breath from the blockbuster mania. Films and documentaries shown range from notable names to industry locals. Events bring foot traffic and allows for engagement in the community, nurturing more diversity. Art houses leave room for a wider variety of stories to be played. As of now, the choice of movies to go see on a given night are pigeonholed to the typical genre stories. They do well, make a lot of money, and bring people into the seats. Nothing is wrong with that, but where is room for independent, experimental, or young filmmakers? Independently owned theaters are able to showcase filmmakers who can't pull up as big an audience for a multiplex. Not being able to fill a theater impacts filmmakers' projects being distributed because it can't make a return, so they have to go to streaming services to pick up their content. Directors like Baumbach, Cronenberg, and Campion have moved to streaming. Current production companies like A24 have been willing to test the ground on young filmmakers with non-conventional stories. Art houses are where these films thrive and are able to return the profit on a smaller scale. It creates a more diverse space for stories to be on display. Communities are happier and place a large importance on independent theaters. The content curated exposes the community to diversity, making for a more tolerant community. Art houses are often the place an international crowd can see something from their home country. Economically, theaters can help the community and allow for other artists to gain inspiration. Engagement goes up when theaters take part in events and partnerships. Art houses are able to survive when they are backed by the community. Showing great films that build an audience is essential to this engagement.